Hello students, this is Kanupriya, PGT Geography, and this is my next video on the very next chapter, which is Chapter 3rd, Interior of the Earth. This is the Chapter 3rd of Book 1, Fundamentals of Physical Geography. Let's start with it. The first topic of this chapter is forces responsible for shaping the Earth's landscape. The two forces which are responsible for shaping the Earth's landscape are exogenic forces and endogenic forces. Exogenic forces refers to the external forces or external phenomena which occur on the surface of the Earth. For example, weathering and erosion. These are the two phenomena which occur on the surface of the Earth due to exogenic forces. And second one is endogenic forces. It refers to the internal forces that originate inside the Earth's surface. For example, earthquakes, volcanoes, which are originated inside the Earth's surface due to endogenic forces. Exogenic forces and endogenic forces are constantly shaping the Earth's landscape. As we know, human life is largely influenced by the physiography of the region. Therefore, it is necessary that one gets acquainted with the forces that influence landscape development. To understand why the earth shakes or how a tsunami is generated, it is necessary that we should know certain details about the interior of the earth. But the interior of the earth can be understood only by the indirect evidences, as neither one has nor anyone can reach the interior of the earth. In the previous chapter, you have noted that the earth forming materials have been distributed in the form of layers from the crust to the mantle and to the core. It is interesting to know how scientists have gathered information about these layers and what are the characteristics of each of these layers. This is exactly what this chapter deals with. This is the flow chart showing Earth movements because of the endogenic forces and exogenic forces. Under endogenic forces, we have sudden forces and diastrophic forces. And under exogenic forces, we have erosional and depositional processes. These subtopics you will cover in your next chapters. Now, what are the sources of information about the interior of the Earth? The Earth's radius is 6,370 kilometers. No one can reach the center of the Earth and make observations or collect samples of the material. Most of our knowledge about the interior of the Earth is largely based on estimates and inferences. However, a part of the information is obtained through direct observations and analysis of the materials. So let's discuss what are the various sources of information about the interior of the Earth. The first one is direct sources of information. The most important direct source of information is mining. The most easily available solid earth material is surface rock or the rocks that we get from the mining areas. For example, gold mines in South Africa are as deep as 3 to 4 kilometers. Going beyond this depth is not possible as it is very hot at this depth. Besides mining, scientists have taken up a number of projects to penetrate deeper depths to explore the conditions in the crustal portions. Scientists world over are working on two major projects such as Deep Drilling Project and Integrated Ocean Drilling Project. The deepest drill is at Kola in Arctic Ocean has so far reached up to a depth of 12 kilometers. Not only this, many deep drilling projects have provided large amount of information through the analysis of materials collected at different depths. Second one is volcanic eruptions. It forms another source of obtaining direct information about the interior of the Earth. During volcanic eruption, the hot and molten material which comes out from the interior of the Earth becomes available for laboratory analysis. So, with the help of that molten material, one can understand about the various materials which are present inside the Earth's surface. Now, second one is indirect sources of information about the interior of the Earth. Analysis of the properties of matter indirectly provides information about the interior. Through the mining activity, we can know about temperature, pressure, and density inside the Earth's surface. It is found that the temperature, pressure, and density inside the Earth's surface increases with increase in depth. That means as we move into the Earth's surface, all the attributes of temperature, pressure, and density keeps on increasing. Knowing the total thickness of the Earth, scientists have estimated the values of temperature, pressure, and density at different depths. Second one is meteors. These are another indirect source of information that at times reach the Earth's surface. The material that becomes available for analysis from meteors is not from the interior of the Earth. However, the material and the structure observed in the meteors are similar to that of the Earth. They are the solid bodies developed out of the materials same as or similar to our planet. So, by taking under study the meteors, we can understand about the various materials which are present inside the Earth's surface, as these meteors are the solid bodies which are same as or similar to our planet. The other indirect sources includes gravitation. The gravitation force is not same at different latitudes on the surface. The gravitational value is greater near the poles and less at the equator. It is because of the shape of the Earth. The force of gravity or the gravity values also differ according to the mass of the material. As we all know, there is uneven distribution of mass of material within the Earth's surface which influences the value of the force of gravity. We have expected values, but the readings differ from the expected values. Such a difference is called as gravity anomaly. Gravity anomalies gives us information about the distribution of mass of the material in the crust of the Earth. Second one is magnetic surveys. These also provide information about the distribution of magnetic material in the crustal portion and thus provide information about the distribution of materials. And third one is seismic activity, which you will discuss in the next topic. Now, what are earthquakes? Earthquake, in simple words, is the shaking of the earth. It is a natural event, that means it is naturally induced. It is caused due to the release of energy inside the earth's surface, which generate waves and that travel in all the directions. That means earthquake is generated because of the release of energy inside the earth's surface, which generate waves that travel in all the directions. During earthquake, the earth shakes. Why does the earth shake? The release of energy occurs along a fault. Now, what is a fault? A fault is a sharp break in the crustal rocks. Because of that fault, rocks tend to move in opposite directions, but the overlying rock strata presses them and the friction locks them together. However, their tendency to move apart at some point of time overcomes the friction, and as a result, the rock blocks deformed and eventually they'll slide one another. This causes a release of energy and the energy waves travel in all the directions. The point where the energy is released is called the focus of an earthquake, or it is called the hypocenter. The energy waves traveling in different directions reach the surface of the earth. The point on the surface of the earth which is nearest to the focus or which is perpendicular to the focus is called epicenter. It is the first one to experience the waves or the tremors. It is a point which is directly above the focus which is present inside the Earth's surface. Here is the picture showing the focus, epicenter and fault. Here you can see focus is deep inside the Earth's surface, and just above it, which is perpendicular to the focus, is the epicenter, which is present on the surface of the Earth. Here you can also see fault on the Earth's surface, which is a sharp break on the crustal rocks. Now, what are earthquake waves? All natural earthquakes take place in the lithosphere. What is lithosphere? It refers to the portion of depth up to 200 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. An instrument which is used to record the earthquake waves is known as seismograph. It is basically an instrument which is used to record the earthquake waves. Earthquake waves are basically of two types. First one is body waves and second one is surface waves. Let's discuss body waves. Body waves are generated due to the release of energy at the focus and move in all the directions traveling through the body of the Earth. Body waves are of two types. First one is P waves and second one is S waves. Now let us discuss what are P waves and what are S waves. P waves move faster and are the first to arrive at the surface. On the other hand, S waves arrive at the surface with some time lag. This means P waves are much faster as compared to S waves. P waves are called as primary waves and S waves are called as secondary waves. P waves can travel through gaseous, liquid and solid materials, but S waves can travel only through the solid materials. I hope you have understood the difference between P waves and S waves. This is all for today. I hope you have understood all the topics that we have covered in this presentation or in this video. Kindly subscribe my channel so that you can be updated with the upcoming videos in this channel. Thank you so much.